Yeah, so realistically, mostly just using this as a test for a navigating patterns video I wanted to, trying to calibrate the equipment with my new lighting setup. Uh, I don't know how well that's going, but it's new. But what I wanted to talk about was this computer industry seems to be full of people who think that the computer industry has a process and a methodology of employment and sort of a gaming aspect to it, right? A gamification to it that's very easy to implement and make work. And the bottom line is that no, the tech industry is subject to the same sort of rules and constraints as every other industry when it comes to hiring. If you can pass a test and do well in whatever and have like a high aptitude, that does not mean that you're getting in and getting a job. Okay. This has been shown time and time and time again. Okay. If you're not a good fit for the team, you ain't getting in. Right. Now, I know this because I'm an expert at a bunch of computer things, right? Like 8 programming languages. That's not nothing. Um, network engineering. Yep. Pretty good at that. Uh, actual architecture, right? Systems engineering. Yup. Was a senior storage technician for a while. Sand storage, even the hard stuff. Being good at those things does not guarantee you a job. I have had employers tell me many, many times, usually for contracts, to be fair, but also for occasionally for full time work. Well, we like all your qualifications, but you don't seem to be a good team fit. It's like, I don't even know what that means. I didn't meet your team. Your team didn't meet me, right? I'm sure I can do whatever work it is you have. So that ain't it. You can't gamify tech employment. It's not a video game, right? There are people involved. Whenever there are people involved, it's not a video game. You can't give it a set of processes and procedures and expect a definitive outcome. And often we mistake this. We say, you have people who are maybe very good at what they do, right? But they also happen to have other traits, like they're good looking or they speak well, right? And they also do tests and they also get certifications and they also, are studying like mad to pass, leak code or whatever nonsense this week. And that works. But what's actually working there? Because I know a lot of people who took no tests, have no certifications, and got jobs. So it can't be that, right? And so if you use the scientific method properly, which is to say, if you have a thesis and there's an instance where that thesis is wrong, then your thesis is wrong. If you do that, you can kind of figure out the world a lot quicker and better. So if you properly use science to throw things out rather than try to confirm things, which science does not do, by the way, um, then you can easily figure out whether or not things are true. Right? You can find all the false things very quickly and easily. Right? You don't have to find the true things, but you have to find the false things. And so when you look at something like the gamification or the alleged gamification of tech hiring, you find out it's a myth. That's not how tech hiring works. Right? And the fact that those systems have been put in place for years and still aren't yielding those results should have been a hint. But they weren't. A lot of people just think, "Oh, this is new." It's like, yeah, that's not even remotely close to new. I remember back in the bad old days when I was doing technicians work, right? In other words, they were hiring me to repair hardware, swap boards, and install software for customers. It's real hefty stuff. Learned a lot, by the way, especially about how to fix computers. Um, there, before this was true, I was tested, right? But then it became the A plus certification, right? The guy that tested me for the company, which I think at the time was the largest or second largest hardware repair business in the world, right? he had a test and he gave me the test because I aced the freaking test because it's computers. I know pretty much everything about computers, like just all kinds of random stuff that no one expects. And so I aced the test and he's like, oh my God, no one's ever gotten all those questions right. And I'm like, okay, whatever, bro. And then like 3 months later, the A plus certification stuff came out. Now, obviously, I didn't need to take the certification. I already knew all the stuff, right? And you can say, oh, the certification verifies you take a test. Some people test well. I test well for certain things. Some people don't test well, but they know their stuff. This isn't helpful, right? The people who don't test well but know their stuff better than the people who test well, for sure, in almost all cases. There's a few exceptions to that. I mean, some people are just good, right? But they're rare, and it's not you. So don't worry about that. So the thing is, people that are like that know they're like that and wouldn't bother disagreeing with me. They'd be like, yeah, of course, right? Because they see it. When you're on the better side, you can see both sides. When you're not, you can't see both sides. And therefore you get rebellious and angry and tell people no. And it could be me. Never, right? So very asymmetrical relationship. So when you think about employment, you have to realize that charisma matters, looks matter, right? How you present yourself matters. First impressions matter. And that won't win you the day, right? We need to test you technically. That does not matter. I've said this before. I'll say it again. If somebody tries to hire me and says you need to take a test, I'm like, I can't work for you. There's a technical reason why I can't work for somebody like that. If you can't talk to me for 20 minutes and figure out I know what I'm talking about, me working for you is going to do you no good, because I'm just going to tell you a bunch of things that you're not going to understand or you're not going to believe. And that's just the way it is. And I had to learn that the hard way over several years. But once I learned it, boy, did my life improve, because they want me to take a test. Then I'm not interviewing with them. And now I can focus on interviews where I have a chance of helping the customers, because that's always what I cared about. But I wasn't in it for the money. Right? The money came as the result of wanting to help the customers. Like, oh, okay. But it makes you good at something. What doesn't make you good at something is pursuing money. That makes you bad at everything. Like, just destroys your life. I mean, you can do that if you want. I can't stop you, but also don't do that. It's bad for your life. When you pursue that higher purpose, that thing that's outside, eventually the money will come. That's true. It happens pretty reliably, right? And maybe not as much as you want or think you deserve or whatever. Different problem. I mean, sometimes people just pick things where they can't make any money. I want to be an artist. Good, you're going to starve. That's going to happen, because almost no artists ever make any money. And the ones that do are usually wealthy already and have contacts, which is why they make the money. They don't make the money through the art. They make the money through the contacts. That's why most artists get famous after they're dead, right? Because somebody else picks up their art and then people get jealous, effectively, right? It's mimicry. So tech employment is not magic. It's not more materialistic or better gamified than other types of employment. A lot of employers deliberately, and I know this because I've heard them talk about it, deliberately use those sorts of things to attract the sorts of people that they think will be good programmers. Now, this often backfires on them, by the way, but fair enough. I mean, if you want an autistic, crazy coder, or that's what you think you want, then the way to get them is to give them the impression that your interviews can be gamified. And then the ones that win, right, that get in, will think that they gamed the interview successfully and feel really confident coming into the job. I mean, it's a double bonus, really, because you don't want people with imposter syndrome coming into the job, right? Unless they have imposter syndrome, but they have confidence from winning the gamification game. Then that's much more useful. Sorry, just the way humans work. So the gamification, you're the one being gamed. You're not gaming the company. So I just wanted to do that. Also calibrate all my equipment. We'll see how the video comes out. Think carefully about this. It's good to know how the world works.